The massive Imperial scanner ship hung in the darkness of space, its crystalline sensors prodding the distant blue planet. On the command deck, Admiral Rex stood with his hands clasped behind his back, a smirk playing across his gray features as he studied the holographic display of Earth. "Another primitive world," he muttered, his pointed ears twitching with amusement. "Look at their primitive satellites and that pathetic space station. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly." The scanner crew worked diligently at their stations, collecting data on Earth's apparent technological level. Their reports showed only basic rocket technology, a handful of communication satellites, and minimal defensive capabilities. "Sir," called out one of the operators, "we've intercepted their primitive communications. They still use radio waves and digital signals. No quantum entanglement, no faster-than-light communications." Admiral Rex's smirk widened into a full smile. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, and Earth would be no different. These humans would make excellent servants, perhaps even decent manual laborers for the Empire's vast construction projects. "Prepare a full report for the Imperial Council," Rex commanded. "Mark this planet as Class 3. Pre-spacefaring civilization, suitable for integration into the Empire's workforce." Deep below the surface of Earth, in a hidden command center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, things were very different. General Thomas watched the alien ship's activities through advanced sensors that the Empire couldn't detect. Unlike the primitive equipment in orbit, these sensors used technology far beyond anything the Empire possessed. "They're taking the bait," Thomas said to his assembled staff. "All those dummy satellites and the decoy space station are doing their job perfectly." Colonel Adams, his chief of intelligence, nodded in agreement. "Our surface technology makes us look like we're barely into the space age. The Empire won't know what hit them when the time comes." For 50 years, humanity had maintained this elaborate deception. While showing the galaxy a facade of primitive technology, they had secretly developed innovations that would shock their would-be conquerors. Hidden shipyards on the far side of the moon, and deep within asteroid belts, churned out vessels that would make the Empire's fleet look obsolete. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, "the Imperial vessel is preparing to leave. They've classified us as a Class 3 civilization." Thomas allowed himself a small smile. "Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. They'll send a diplomatic vessel next, thinking they can trick us into peaceful submission." The command center hummed with quiet activity as operators monitored the Imperial ship's departure. Beneath the surface of Earth's oceans, in underground bases, and hidden in plain sight, humanity's real technology remained invisible to Imperial scanners. A week later, the Imperial Council received Admiral Rex's report. The council chamber buzzed with quiet laughter as they reviewed the findings. "These humans still burn chemical rockets to reach orbit," one counselor chuckled. "They'll be grateful for our guidance and technology." The High Chancellor nodded in agreement. "Send the diplomatic corps. Offer them our standard protectorate terms. Show them a few simple technological marvels to impress them. They'll sign away their independence without realizing what they're doing." Back on Earth, General Thomas reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Empire's predictable response was exactly what humanity had planned for. Years of careful preparation would soon pay off. "Send word to the fleet," he ordered. "Operation Shadow Shield is proceeding as planned. Keep our advanced tech hidden until the last possible moment. Let them think we're nothing but primitive apes playing with rockets." As his orders went out through quantum channels undetectable to Imperial technology, Thomas thought about the coming weeks. The Empire had no idea that they weren't dealing with a primitive civilization, but rather one that had chosen to appear weak while building its strength in secret. The game was set. Now they just had to wait for the Empire to make its next predictable move. Humanity's trap was ready, and their would-be conquerors were walking right into it. The underground command center buzzed with activity as General Thomas called an emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council. Representatives from every major military power sat around the circular table, their faces illuminated by the holographic display showing the approaching Imperial diplomatic vessel. "Ladies and gentlemen," Thomas began, "our deep space sensors confirm that the Empire's ship will reach Earth in 48 hours. It's time to brief you on humanity's true military capabilities." The room fell silent as Thomas pressed a button on his control panel. The hologram shifted to show a vast array of hidden military installations throughout the solar system. "For the past 50 years, we've maintained a facade of technological backwardness. But in reality," he paused, allowing the display to zoom in on massive shipyards hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids. "We've built the most advanced fleet in known space." Admiral Wilson leaned forward, his weathered face serious. "How many ships are we talking about?" 5,000 combat vessels, Thomas replied, "all equipped with technology that surpasses anything the Empire has ever seen. Our quantum drives can outmaneuver their best ships. Our weapons can penetrate their strongest shields." The hologram shifted again, showing Earth's hidden defense grid. Massive cannons lay concealed beneath ocean floors. Orbital platforms disguised as defunct satellites housed energy weapons that could vaporize Imperial capital ships. "Impossible," one of the Chinese representatives muttered. "How did we keep this secret?" Thomas smiled. "The same way we've hidden everything else, with technology so advanced that the Empire's sensors can't detect it. Our quantum camouflage makes their scanning systems see exactly what we want them to see." The room erupted in excited chatter as more details were revealed. Underground bases that housed millions of troops. Manufacturing facilities that could produce advanced weapons at an incredible rate. Training centers where soldiers learned to operate technology that seemed like magic compared to what the Empire possessed. "But why reveal this now?" asked the Russian general, his voice cutting through the noise. "Because," Thomas replied, "our intelligence network has intercepted the Empire's true plans. They don't want peaceful contact. They want to enslave us, just as they've enslaved hundreds of other races." The hologram changed one final time, showing intercepted Imperial communications. The council members watched in growing anger as they saw the Empire's leaders laughing about how easy it would be to subjugate Earth. "We've spent half a century preparing for this moment," Thomas continued. "We let them think we're primitive. We let them underestimate us. And now, when they try to conquer us, we'll show them exactly what humanity is capable of." Admiral Wilson stood up, his voice firm. "What are our orders?" "Maintain the deception for now. Let their diplomatic vessel come. Let them think their plan is working." Thomas's eyes gleamed with determination. "But get our fleet ready. Position our ships behind the moon, in the asteroid belt, and in high orbit under full quantum camouflage." The council members nodded in agreement. Years of secrecy and preparation were about to pay off. "One more thing," Thomas added. "Our technology isn't just superior, it's revolutionary. The Empire thinks they're gods among the stars, but they're about to learn that humanity has surpassed them in every way." As the meeting concluded, the council members left with a new sense of pride and purpose. In orbit, hidden from Imperial sensors, Earth's true fleet began to move into position. Massive battleships, sleek destroyers, and advanced carriers, all invisible to the enemy's eyes, prepared for the coming conflict. The Empire thought they were coming to conquer a primitive world. Instead, they were walking into a trap set by the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment. And soon, very soon, the Empire would learn the cost of their arrogance. The warning had been given. Now, all that remained was to spring the trap. The Imperial diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with all the subtlety of a peacock on parade. Its golden hull gleamed in the sunlight, deliberately designed to awe the primitive humans with its grandeur. As it approached the designated landing zone outside the United Nations headquarters in New York, thousands of spectators gathered to witness humanity's first contact with alien life. Commander Peter watched from his position as head of the welcoming committee, keeping his face carefully composed to hide his amusement. The Empire's ship, for all its flash, was practically ancient technology compared to what humanity had hidden away. "Remember," he whispered into his concealed quantum communicator, "we're playing the part of excited primitives. Everyone stay in character." The Imperial ship landed with a theatrical flourish of light and sound. A ramp extended from its side, and out walked Ambassador Dox of the Empire, his tall figure draped in ornate robes that sparkled with embedded crystals. "Greetings, people of Earth," Dox announced through his translation device. "We come in peace, bringing the gifts of civilization and progress." Peter stepped forward, doing his best to look suitably impressed and slightly intimidated. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. We are honored by your presence." He purposely stumbled slightly over his words, playing the role of a nervous primitive perfectly. The delegation was led into the UN building, where world leaders had gathered for this historic meeting. Every detail had been carefully staged, from the outdated technology visible in the room to the obviously nervous behavior of the human representatives. Ambassador Dox began his presentation, showing holographic images of the Empire's worlds. To the Imperial delegation, the gasps and wide-eyed stares from the humans seemed to confirm their primitive nature. They didn't notice how those same humans were secretly analyzing and dismissing the Empire's technological capabilities. "And this," Dox said grandly, activating a small anti-gravity device, "is but a simple example of our advanced technology." He levitated a water glass a few inches off the table. Peter forced himself not to laugh. In his hidden base, he had entire rooms where gravity could be controlled at will. But he clapped enthusiastically with the others, playing his part. "Amazing," he exclaimed. "Such wonders are beyond our current understanding." The meeting continued for hours. The Empire's representatives showed off more advanced technology, each demonstration more carefully calculated to impress their primitive audience. They never noticed the quantum scanners hidden in the walls, analyzing and recording every piece of their technology. "We offer Earth a place in the Empire," Dox finally announced. "Under our guidance, your civilization can advance centuries within decades." The human leaders pretended to discuss this offer with appropriate awe and consideration. In reality, they were following a carefully scripted plan, designed to make the Empire believe their deception was working perfectly. "We would be honored to consider your generous offer," Peter replied, bowing slightly. "But such an important decision will require time for our world's leaders to discuss and consider." Ambassador Dox smiled condescendingly. "Of course. Take all the time you need to recognize the wisdom of joining the Empire." As the Imperial delegation prepared to leave, they were completely satisfied with their mission's success. They had no idea that their every word and action had been recorded, analyzed, and transmitted to Earth's real military command. In his private quarters that evening, Ambassador Dox composed his report to the Imperial Council. "The humans are exactly as our scans indicated, a primitive species barely beginning to understand space travel. They were suitably awed by even our most basic technology. Conquest will be simple, should they foolishly reject our offer of peaceful submission." Deep beneath the Earth's surface, Peter read a copy of this intercepted transmission and smiled. The Empire's arrogance was working in humanity's favor. Let them think their deception was working. Let them believe they had fooled the primitive humans. The trap was nearly ready. Soon, very soon, the Empire would learn the true cost of underestimating humanity. The Imperial war fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. 50 ships strong, it was considered a small force by Empire standards, merely enough to conquer a primitive world. The fleet's commander, Grand Admiral Vex, stood on his flagship's bridge with an expression of bored confidence. "Such a waste of resources," he muttered, watching the holographic display of Earth's solar system. "We could have sent 10 ships and still overwhelmed these primitives." His tactical officer nodded in agreement. "Their most advanced weapons are chemical rockets and nuclear devices, sir. They won't even see us coming until it's too late." Deep within Earth's hidden command center, General Thomas watched the Imperial fleet's approach on quantum sensors that showed every detail of their ships, including their structural weaknesses and shield frequencies. "Right on schedule," he said, turning to Admiral Wilson. "They'd brought exactly the size force we predicted. Their arrogance makes them so predictable." The massive underground chamber hummed with activity as Earth's real military command prepared for battle. Hidden ships moved silently into position, their quantum camouflage making them invisible to Imperial sensors. "All defense grid stations report ready," a lieutenant announced. "Hidden weapons platforms are charged and tracking Imperial vessels." The Empire's fleet moved closer, spreading out in a standard conquest formation. They had no idea that they were already surrounded by humanity's hidden forces. Each Imperial ship was being tracked by multiple Earth vessels, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "Sir," called out an Imperial sensor operator, "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the planet's surface." "Probably their primitive power plants," Vex dismissed. "Begin broadcasting the surrender demands. Give them 1 hour to submit to Imperial rule before we start destroying their major cities." The ultimatum was transmitted toward Earth using the Empire's standard communications channels. In response, they received only confused and frightened messages from various Earth governments, exactly what they expected from a primitive civilization facing superior forces. "The humans are begging for more time," reported the communications officer, smirking. "They're saying they don't understand why we've turned against them." Vex laughed. "Send them images of our weapons capabilities. Show them what happens to worlds that resist the Empire." In the hidden command center, Thomas listened to the Imperial communications with growing satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Empire's fleet had moved into exactly the position they wanted. "All ships report ready," Wilson announced. "The Empire's fleet is now inside our containment zone. No escape will be possible once we begin." Thomas nodded grimly. "Send the coded signal. All ships maintain quantum camouflage until my command. Let's see how the Empire handles a real fight." Throughout the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet waited silently. Advanced warships lurked behind every moon and asteroid. Massive carriers held squadrons of fighters ready to launch. Weapon platforms disguised as debris tracked their targets with lethal precision. On his flagship, Vex was growing impatient. "Begin the attack sequence. Target their primitive satellite network first, then their major military installations." "Sir," the sensor operator suddenly called out, his voice tense. "I'm detecting multiple energy spikes. But that's impossible. These readings are off the scale." Vex strode to the sensor station, his confidence finally showing cracks. "What do you mean, impossible? Where are these readings coming from?" "Everywhere, sir," the operator whispered. "They're coming from everywhere." In the command center, Thomas watched the Empire's fleet suddenly realize something was wrong. Their sensors were finally detecting fragments of Earth's true military power, but it was already too late. "Send the final warning," Thomas ordered. "Let's see if they're smart enough to surrender when they realize what they're really facing." The trap was sprung. Now it was time to show the Empire exactly what humanity could do. The real battle was about to begin, and Earth's forces were ready to unleash 50 years of hidden technological advancement against their would-be conquerors. Grand Admiral Vex's confidence shattered like glass as space itself seemed to ripple around his fleet. Where there had been nothing but empty void moments before, massive warships suddenly appeared. Earth's hidden fleet dropped their quantum camouflage in perfect synchronization, revealing vessels that dwarfed the Imperial ships in both size and capability. "Impossible." Vex stumbled back from the command viewport. "These readings can't be correct. They're ships. They're at least 3 generations ahead of our best technology." The sensor officer's hands trembled as he reported, "Sir, I'm counting over 500 human vessels. They've completely surrounded us. Their weapons are unlike anything in our database." On the bridge of Earth's flagship Defender, Admiral Wilson watched the Imperial fleet's panic with grim satisfaction. Transmit our message to their command ship, he ordered. The human fleet's true might was now on full display. Sleek battleships with crystalline hulls that could repair themselves, destroyers equipped with weapons that could bend space itself, and carriers launching swarms of fighters that moved with impossible speed and precision. To the Imperial fleet, Wilson's message boomed across all channels. You came expecting to find primitive prey. Instead, you've walked into the jaws of a predator. Your sensors now show you a fraction of our true capability. Surrender or be destroyed. Vex's face contorted with rage and disbelief as he watched the holographic readings. The human ships were powered by technology that his scientists had theorized was impossible. Their shields operated on principles the Empire hadn't even discovered yet. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, voice shaking, "they're not using standard shields. Our weapons, they might not even penetrate their defenses." In Earth's command center, General Thomas monitored the situation. "Show them a demonstration," he ordered. "Target that asteroid with the lance." One of Earth's smaller ships broke formation and turned toward a nearby asteroid. A beam of pure white energy lanced out, and the massive rock didn't just explode. It ceased to exist, converted instantly into base particles. The Imperial fleet went dead silent. That, Thomas's voice carried across all channels, was our smallest ship using its lowest power setting. Would you like to see what our larger vessels can do at full power? Panic erupted across the Imperial fleet as their sensors detected more human ships decloaking behind them, cutting off their escape route. Space stations larger than cities appeared from nowhere. Defense platforms emerged from inside planets and moons where they'd been hidden for decades. "How?" Vex demanded. "How did you hide all this? While you saw what you expected to see, a primitive race barely reaching for the stars. We built an arsenal that surpassed your greatest achievements." Thomas replied, "Your arrogance made you blind. Your contempt made you weak. And now you face the consequences." Massive energy readings began building up throughout the human fleet. Weapons powered up, their potential yield exceeding anything the Empire had ever encountered. Fighters moved into attack formations with precision that seemed impossible. "Your entire fleet," Wilson announced, "sits within a quantum lock field. You cannot retreat. You cannot call for help. Your only choices are surrender or annihilation." In the Imperial flagship's bridge, Vex watched his tactical display show more and more human ships appearing. Each one represented technology that shouldn't exist, power that shouldn't be possible. His mighty invasion fleet now looked like children's toys compared to humanity's real military might. "Sir," his second-in-command whispered, "what are your orders?" Vex stared at the overwhelming force surrounding his fleet. 50 years of human technological advancement, carefully hidden and perfected in secret, now stood ready to unleash destruction beyond his comprehension. The Empire had laughed at humanity's primitive appearance. Now, faced with the reality of Earth's true power, that laughter had turned to terror. The trap had sprung, and the hunters had become the hunted. The revelation was complete. Now came the moment of choice. Submit or be destroyed. Grand Admiral Vex made his decision. Pride and generations of imperial superiority outweighed logic and survival instinct. The Empire does not surrender to primitives. All ships, open fire. The Imperial fleet's weapons blazed to life, sending waves of plasma and energy beams toward the human vessels. It was like throwing stones at a mountain. How disappointing. General Thomas sighed from Earth's command center. Though not unexpected. "Admiral Wilson, you may proceed." The human fleet's response was devastating in its precision. The first wave of attacks didn't even use weapons. Quantum fields simply shut down the Imperial ship's power systems. Vessels that had been firing furiously went dark, their engines dead, their weapons powerless. "Second wave, demonstrate our offensive capabilities," Wilson commanded. A single human destroyer moved forward. Its crystalline hull pulsed with energy as it fired a concentrated beam at an Imperial cruiser. The beam passed through the enemy's shields as if they didn't exist. The Imperial ship didn't explode. It simply fell apart, its atomic bonds elegantly severed. Panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Some captains, seeing the futility of resistance, powered down their weapons. Others, driven by the same pride as their admiral, continued their useless assault. "Sir," an Imperial officer screamed, "they're fighters. They're moving through our shields." "That's impossible." Human fighter squadrons phased through solid matter, their quantum drives allowing them to ignore physical barriers. They passed through Imperial shields and hulls like ghosts, leaving precise destruction in their wake. "Status report," Thomas demanded. 15 Imperial ships have surrendered," his tactical officer reported. 23 are disabled. 12 continue to resist. Vex watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. Each human attack demonstrated a new level of technological superiority. Some ships were trapped in time bubbles, their crews frozen in stasis. Others found themselves teleported kilometers away from their original positions, their carefully planned formations shattered. "This is your final warning." Wilson's voice echoed through the remaining Imperial ships. "Your defeat is inevitable. Surrender now." Instead of responding, Vex ordered his flagship to ram the nearest human vessel. The massive Imperial ship surged forward on its remaining power, only to stop dead in space, caught in a gravity web. "Very well," Thomas said quietly. "End this." The human fleet moved with choreographed precision. Quantum weapons reached out across space, ignoring shields and armor alike. Imperial ships found their very atoms gently but firmly pulled apart. No explosions, no drama, just the clean efficiency of vastly superior technology. Vex's flagship was the last to fall. As his ship's systems failed around him, he finally understood the true depth of the Empire's mistake. They hadn't found a primitive civilization. They'd awakened a sleeping giant. "Admiral," his tactical officer whispered, "we never had a chance, did we?" Before Vex could answer, his bridge crew watched in awe as their ship was literally taken apart around them, each piece carefully separated and contained. They found themselves standing on a force field platform in open space, their ship demolished but their lives spared. "Transport the survivors to the holding facilities," Thomas ordered. "Make sure they're treated well. They're about to become our ambassadors to the Empire." The battle had lasted less than 20 minutes. Not a single human ship had been damaged. Not a single human life had been lost. The Empire's invasion fleet had been defeated with the casual ease of an adult disarming a child. In Earth's command center, Thomas looked at the battle assessment. "Send word to our hidden fleets throughout the galaxy. Phase 2 begins now." The Empire is about to learn that their little invasion force was just a tiny fraction of humanity's true military power. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer as more human ships dropped their quantum camouflage, revealing an armada that stretched across the solar system. The Empire had started this war, but humanity would finish it, and they would do so with the same technological superiority that had just transformed 50 Imperial warships into an object lesson in humility. The Imperial Palace on Capital World fell silent as the holographic recording of the battle ended. The Imperial Council had watched Earth's fleet dismantle their invasion force with casual ease. Now they sat in stunned silence, facing the human diplomatic delegation. General Thomas stood calmly before them, his simple black uniform a stark contrast to their ornate robes. "As you can see, your invasion force never stood a chance, but that's not why we're here." He gestured, and a new hologram filled the chamber. It showed human fleets decloaking throughout Imperial space, massive armadas that had been hiding for years, positioning themselves near every major Imperial world. "We could destroy your empire today," Thomas continued, "but that's not our way. Instead, we offer a choice." The High Chancellor found his voice. "What? What choice?" "Peace." Thomas smiled. "Real peace, not the false peace you offered Earth, but genuine cooperation. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help it grow." The hologram shifted again, showing technological wonders that made the Empire's greatest achievements look primitive. Clean energy systems that could power entire planets. Medical technology that could cure any disease. Faster-than-light drives that made Imperial ships look like rowing boats. For 50 years, we hid our advancement to protect ourselves from conquest. Now we offer to share it, not as conquerors, but as partners. One of the council members leaned forward. Why would you share such power? Because that's what humans do, Thomas explained. We advance, we improve, and we help others do the same. Your empire is built on conquest. Ours will be built on cooperation. He gestured again, and a hologram showed the captured Imperial fleet, already being studied and improved by human engineers. Your ships are being upgraded as we speak. Consider it a gesture of good faith. The council watched in amazement as their advanced vessels were transformed with technology they barely understood. Quantum drives replaced their primitive engines. Crystalline hulls replaced metal armor. Weapons were enhanced beyond recognition. This is our offer, Thomas declared. Join us in creating something greater than an empire. Help us build a galaxy where advancement comes through cooperation, not conquest. The High Chancellor stood slowly. And if we refuse, then we leave, taking our technology with us. Your empire will collapse within a decade as your subjects realize how far behind you've fallen. We won't need to fire a shot. Thomas let that sink in before continuing. But if you accept, we'll help you transform the empire into something greater. Your worlds will advance centuries within years. Your people will thrive like never before. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some members argued for war, but their voices quickly fell silent as they remembered how easily Earth's fleet had defeated their best ships. We accept, the High Chancellor finally announced. The Empire will join your Federation. Alliance, Thomas corrected gently. We're calling it the Galactic Alliance, and you're not joining us. We're building it together. As the diplomatic teams began working out details, Thomas sent a message back to Earth's command center. Phase 3 initiated. The Empire has agreed to peaceful integration. Across the galaxy, human ships began decloaking near populated worlds, not as conquerors but as teachers. Teams of scientists and engineers started sharing technology that would transform billions of lives. The empire that had laughed at humanity's apparent weakness now stood humbled but hopeful. They had sought to conquer a primitive world and instead found teachers who would help them reach heights they had never imagined. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't won through superior firepower or advanced technology. It was won through the simple human desire to help others grow, to share knowledge, and to build something greater than themselves. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what humanity had planned all along.